Vast cherry orchards hung with dark red fruits were once a common sight across the valley. Picked delicately by hand by large seasonal workforces, on ladders some reaching over 40 foot into the fruiting canopies, pickers would return back down with brimming baskets of varieties such as Burkham, Fice, Birchen Hayes, Mazzards and others, unique in their taste and unique to their hamlet or village where they were grown. They were an important summer orchard crop for market gardeners who would send their harvest to local markets and into Devonport by boat and later by the railways. Not only an important income crop, cherry season was also celebrated across the valley with organised visits and river trips to see the beautiful swathes of blossom and parties to celebrate the end of harvest. And we're still celebrating cherries here today.
This is the cherry orchard, one of several that we have across the estate. As the name suggests, these trees are beautiful Tamar Valley cherries. Cherry was a really important fruit for the Tamar Valley as part of the market gardening history of the area. So it's lovely that we have this orchard to showcase such an important part of our heritage. Spring is one of my favourite times of the year. The blossom comes out and it's the first real event that really actually gets people outside and gets people really excited as well. The blossom is just so beautiful, so delicate, and as you can probably hear around me, orchards are such a special and tranquil environment. You've got bees buzzing, you can hear the birds around me as well, so it's just somewhere really special to spend your time. So if you look around me, you can see the process of changing from flower to fruit has already begun. So behind me, I've got all of the really delicate blossoms, but just up here, we've actually got an example of some of the blossoms that have already been pollinated. So if you look closely, you can see the start of the cherry fruits already beginning to form, where the flowers have gone, just leaving the fruit ready to emerge. So in a couple of months, hopefully we'll look up and we'll see gorgeous red cherries hanging from the branches. In April, we have the Festival of Blossom, all about celebrating the beautiful blooms all around us, to get people outside and seeing what the beauty of nature is actually on their doorstep, because a lot of people may not even realise that places like this orchard are here, not far away from them, accessible by train. Then in June, we will have the cherry, and that's really lovely. The smell of the cherries in the orchards is just wonderful. It's just really important that people can see how special this flower really is and get out and enjoy it.
At the height of the industry, there would have been an abundance available at local markets if the precious fruits hadn't already been ravaged by the birds from the trees. Not a fruit that would keep or travel well, cherries would have been sold fresh to be enjoyed predominantly within the Tamar Valley communities and Plymouth, or to be bottled to be preserved.
The cherry feast was started by the Corrigan family as a reward for their staff at the end of the cherry picking season. And they used to bake cherry pies and throw an enormous tea in the front grounds of Pentilly Castle. The key thing about it today, I think, which ties in with the past, is not just the cherries, but it is a community event. It's a way of bringing together the people of St Mellion, Pillerton, Hat, Botus Fleming, wherever. People come from all over. There are people whose grandparents went to Pentilly, and so they knew that the cherry feast had lasted for over 100 years. So you had to keep it going as the cherry feast.
Rachel Evans, in her 1846 book, Home Scenes of Tavistock and its Vicinity, talks of a pleasant excursion to the parish of Beer, cherry eating in the proper season. Here are grown in abundance those delicious small black cherries which are carried to the Plymouth and Tavistock markets and thence dispersed over various parts of the country. The rich clusters of fruit almost drop into your mouth as you drive along the road in the neighbourhood of the orchards.
The Tamar Valley cherries are small and black. delicious tasting, and there are dozens of different varieties. They're not being grown on an industrial scale. So we have to use cherries from elsewhere. When we do get the opportunity, we will pick local cherries. And that's a very delicate task, it turns out. You have to be very careful about how you pick the fruit off, or you damage the various parts of the tree and it won't fruit next year. When you look at the old photos, it's often women who are up the ladders collecting the cherries. I guess they just had smaller, nimbler fingers and they were better suited to it, because I have done it, it's jolly hard.
Of taking produce to market, Rachel Evans says 3 times a week boats are laden at an early hour of the morning with fruiterers and their baskets, who thus convey their produce to the Plymouth and Devonport markets. It was once my lucky chance to return up the river in one of these market boats. I was amused to see the nonchalance of the women, who seemed to take no more notice of the progress of the boat than if they were seated in a luxurious drawing room by the fireside.
Her eyes, they shone like diamonds. You'd think she was queen.
Nowadays, the methods of cherry picking have changed completely. And my guess is they were priced out of the market. There were different crops that were better than cherries, so the cherry orchards fell into decline. But there are people out there now who are trying to rebuild our side of the thing. Not so much as an industry, but as a good thing to do, to be growing Tamar Valley cherries.
Although Tamar Valley cherry orchards no longer produce fruit at commercial scales, we still have people sustaining our heritage varieties. James and Mary Martin, for over 40 years, have been saving local cherries from extinction, researching and identifying lost varieties, and indeed have literally written the book on the matter.
We've been establishing this orchard since about 1992, thereabouts, and we'd started collecting apple trees particularly. And Mary introduced me to the remains of the derelict cherry orchards, which were really almost extinct. And we thought it was more urgent to have a go at saving Tamar Valley cherries because they're so unique to this area. This field was a cherry orchard 150 years ago, but then it's just been farmed and what have you, and so the soil has been broken down and abused. But we've got trees in the top orchard which are actually planted in the hedge. And they've grown twice as fast as the same variety out in the field, and they are almost as big. And we think it's because of the mycorrhizal fungi in the leaf mould in the hedges. It's never been sprayed and it's never been flattened down by tractors. So quite a lot of my time in the winter is propagating. The graft wood is cut around Christmas time and kept dormant in a cool place until grafting. And I'm usually grafting cherries in the middle of February. We have a very remarkable climate here. People are afraid of planting trees because they think it'll take too long for them to see the results. It's not true. The soil is so fertile and we have this maritime influenced climate and we don't often have long droughts, so things do grow remarkably quickly. We're lucky now because when we do have a really good crop, and there might be 10 tons of cherries here, you can fill up 3 freezers. They'll keep for years and you can then make them into jam or ice cream or yogurt or whatever in the future. We maintain the sward with wildlife in mind, so we let a lot of the orchard go to tussocky grass every year. An area is left more or less to go wild, which is good for the harvest mice and the voles, which increases the owl population. I'm old enough to remember in Cornwall, you could go out into a meadow and see 100 butterflies at one eyeful, whereas now you're lucky if you see 2 or 3. And here in this orchard, middle of the summer, you might see 50 meadow brown butterflies. So this little oasis is slowly reverting to what I remember when I was a child.
As Dr. Andrew Ormerod says, perhaps the conservation of the last example of local varieties of fruit trees may at least leave open the door for a future revival of local fruit production when the circumstances are right. But in the meantime, we'll be celebrating and enjoying them whenever we can.